next part is this group. So we have the pills at the top. Pills, I'm not 100% sure how to work here because I was so used to doing pills where I just made two groups. So the pills would be two groups next to each other, and you would just, make that maybe a reusable component and put it wherever you need it. But sometimes this pill is going to be reused other places too. Here, for example, it's the same pill. I think same design. Yeah, pretty much same design. And there was another place I saw it. Here, same design. So I'm probably in training, there'll be a similar design as well. So I do, yeah, in training there's a similar design. So this is something that's going to get reused in a lot of places in the app. And everywhere it's going to get reused, it's going to have different titles for the pills. So do you want to do a component where every time you have to put, so there'll be like 4 different components with different tabs. And if you want to add a new tab, you have to create a new group in that component, copy and paste all the elements or whatever, when they all have the same style. So I did work on another project where I saw it done with a repeater and with your own static arrays of data. So this is a little bit advanced, but I think this is really good for pill selector things, right? So we're just gonna do it because we're brave. And it also means if I changed, like, if the underline I want it to be like a darker shade of orange, you change it in one place. You don't have to go in all your little 5 reusable components that you have when you're, with tabs all over the place. So I'd rather use that as a reusable visual component with a repeater and with a static list of tabs. Okay, how do we do that? So we're going to create a global visual component called pill selector. Okay, pill selector is going to have the width here and height of this header part, and then it's going to have a horizontal repeater. That means columns. We need columns for a horizontal repeater. We need a repeater for a repeater, obviously. And then we need a static array. Yeah, we need a static array. Now, what's the best way that when we place this somewhere, we can get the array, the correct array to go into the repeater? I have no inputs on static arrays. Of course we don't. Do we have arrays and states? Probably not. No, we don't. We have numbers, strings, booleans, colors for textiles. No. So no objects. What I would like to do is have an array of, and we're going to call this dashboard pills. And then we'll have another one that's called, what was it? What were the other things I looked at? It's like my courses pills and training pills. So yeah, so like my courses, my content pills, stuff like this. I'm just giving examples, but I wanted to give an example where we could try to think about how to, so these will feed the repeater. Items from this array go into items of the repeater. Items from this array go into items from the repeater. How do I tell it? Sometimes take this one, sometimes take this one. I haven't done this yet. The other app I did, the pills were always the same. And I experimented with the arrays, but I haven't done putting them in different arrays yet. But anyway, maybe we'll do an example and then we'll see. We'll think about it. So the dashboard pills, what are we going to do? We make an array. We do the first object in the array. The first value in the array is going to be title. So the title is going to be the literal words that are used to display on the front end. So that is here, recent and upcoming. One object and another object. Title is upcoming. So this is just standard, really simple JSON, nothing. If you don't know about JSON, go and learn about JSON. It's really, really super simple. We're going to do another thing here, which is going to be called type. So we're going to make this something more readable that we know. I tend to use lowercase when we're doing variables and stuff like that, so it's more the kind of variable name. And what? And maybe we can do something like default true and default false. And so if you had lots of different pills, you would say which one should come up by default. Seems good. Okay, and then in the other project I did, you need to have things like for this bit, for example. So this one has like templates 4 from Learn Book 6, from my organization 10. So these numbers I would code into the JSON the actual class name that we need to call to get this number, and then you can pass that into the repeater and say call the class name that's been put in and find any results in that class that correspond to this user that this user has access to. But we'll not do that just yet. So that means now we have a little array. Look, do we? Come on. Well, we should have an array, but we don't. It's fine. Have a look at it again in a minute. And that's going to go into our repeater to give us our pills. Now with the repeater, we're going to need to add a sub element to this pill selector, which is going to be a visual component called pill item. So pill selector, pill item. Pill item is going to have the text, potentially parentheses after the text, and an underlined part, and the font will change as well. The font color will change. So there's going to be a text. Like we said, there's going to be potentially parentheses. What's the best way to do that? Is to have a state. So there's going to be no count and count. The value is going to be value is going to be text. Yes. Yeah. So the value is going to be text, and use a transition into a string. And so the text will either be no count would be the text that's going to come in from here, and then the count is going to be, no, it's going to be the same text. What am I talking about? Yeah, so that's yes, okay, and then yes. Okay, so the input of this element is going to be the it's going to be from the repeater actually, so we can use an object. So there's going to be input coming from a repeater. I'm going to take it in as an object. And that object is going to tell us if this is one with a count or one with no count. So we're going to say count false and count, oops, count false. Okay, so when count goes in here to our pill item in the repeater, I can double click on the repeater to see it. Then it's going to come into the object. The object is going to give the count or no count. It's going to say count. And then if count is true, it's going to put it into count mode. And if count is false, it's going to put it into no count mode. Then the text is going to go into the text of the pill. Then the object count, which we don't have yet because we haven't loaded it, will go in there. Okay. We need to put the pill in so I can show you what I'm doing, because this is all very, very theoretical at the moment. So the pill, org pill, where were we? Learner group container. What the heck am I doing? There we go. So not the learner group container. No. It's the recent lessons group, recent lessons nav group, and lessons repeater. So the nav group has the pills. Pill selector goes in nav group. Oops. There we go. There's our pill selector. The columns should be 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. So this means it's going to have a million columns. Well, not a million columns, but it's going to have like the layout string is like how much space does this child item have? So the repeater, how much space does it have, or the group, sorry, how much space does it have? Let's split it into even columns, and there'll be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 columns, or like 8 columns, whatever, something ridiculous like that. 8 columns across. Or it could have been, let's split it into 1, 2, 1, as in there are 4 columns, but the middle bit is 2 wide. So you have like a 1 small column, then a medium column in the middle, and then 1 small column at the right. But this is, if you need to use that kind of thing for flex boxes and all that stuff, that's cool. What I'm trying to do here is just say the minimum column width is going to be, I don't know, what's that, 150 pixels? So then if there's 20 columns, like 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, it's gonna show only the number of columns that allows it to maintain its minimum column width. So since we don't have a huge amount of space here, it's going to say, okay, that's fine. I've got 2 incoming items, and so I can maintain that width. That's fine. And look, we can see our items. Ta-da! And then every item in an array gets an ID, which is handy if you ever want to add things, take things away from an array. But getting used to how to use arrays very early on in Noodle for me is super important. Arrays are how we store data on the front end. That Bubble did. When I worked with Bubble did this storage automatically. You would query, and anything that was returned from the query would get stored in the front end, and then it wouldn't do that query again and again and again. If it was trying to get the same data in Bubble, it would just use the data that's on the front end automatically, and it would manage that. It's Bubble, the Bubble engine managed that. In Noodle, we are responsible for that. So you'll see data calls happening in your inspector all over the place if you put queries all over the place. And the back end does not like being called every, it's trying to respond in a half a second. It's not going to enjoy being called 500 times when your page is loaded. So better we start with one call, bigger calls, use the arrays and put the data in there to then filter it out later. So this is a static array. It's a bad example, but it's just the power of arrays is what I'm talking about. So that's good. That data is going into our repeater. So now my repeater object suddenly has some data. So it always shows when you're looking at a object that's in a repeater, the data you're seeing or the firing or whatever is always the last data in the list. So I had a list of 2 and this is the second thing in the list. So just to keep it in mind, you can't force Noodle to show you the first thing in the list. It always shows you the last thing that it's encountered. So we want to take that, oh, we have nothing because an object needs to be mapped. So we need to get our object. We're going to pin this data. Pinning is so useful. It means I can move this around and it stays up. So pin this data because I need to type the properties here of which properties I want to extract from that object to actually use somewhere else. You don't need all of them. Maybe if there's 10 different properties, you don't need all of them at the same time. Or if you've just got an API call returned, you don't need to take all the properties out of it. But I'll take all of these ones just in case. So if count is false, which it is, then it's going to go to no count. Great. And the text of no count currently is empty. So let's give it some text. Gosh darn it. The text for if it was with a count would be title plus parentheses count parentheses. So say the count was 5. I do a query and the count, let's put a number in just for fun. Have a look at that. So say it was actually true and there was 5 lessons. Unpin that. Then I would be putting the number into count and I would be putting the title of this tab into title, and then the format would look like that, upcoming parentheses 5. So that's the power of the string format node. It's my favorite node in the world. That you can just put these little curly brackets and then have inputs to put whatever you want in there to format a string. It's wonderful, and you can even drag and make it bigger so you can see a nice long string. Very nice. So that's just fake or not. Let's put that as test number. Okay, so format with count. It's the pill object. This is the format pill title. And so we're missing one because this formatted text would go as the text of the count value. So if it ever switches to count, then that's the text that it'll put out. But we need the no count text, which is just the title. So we take title, no count text, bim, and there we go, recent and upcoming. Da, 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 da. Very nice. Let's make it bigger. Probably going to call this something else, I think. But yeah, that actually looks pretty good. Title large. Title large. You got it. We're going to say that this is underlined. How do I make it underlined? I've never underlined the text before. How do I make a text underlined? Text style? Case? No. Roboto? Underlined? No. Okay. I have to do some CSS styles, I guess. But I don't know how to do that, so I'll do that another time. That would be upsetting. But let's also say that there's going to be another state here, because at the moment they both look very selected to me. So let's put another state in there. And the state is going to be selected or unselected. Default will be unselected. Values is going to be font color. Color. No transitions. Not yet. I'm not very good on transitions. Selected value would be that brown. And unselected value would be some sort of light gray. Yeah, probably like that one. So pill style. So if it's selected or unselected, the font color is going to be text style color. Now they've both gone gray because we don't know which one is selected and which one isn't. So let's see, how would we do that? So we said that this one is not default. So if it's not default, it shouldn't change the state. And yeah, say what do we put out here? A component object. Component object. We need to store which one is currently selected. So current selected type. Okay, so current selected type is going to be current selected type is going to be an output. Type selected and pill clicked. So if you click it, it's going to go to pill clicked, and the text title type is going to go here. Type goes to type selected. So if I click this group inside the repeater, it's going to fire out some data that my pill selector can pick up and say, ooh, I'm going to set component object properties because that's fun. I'm going to select current selected type. Well, current selected type is a bit wordy. I don't like two words maximum. Selected type. Selected type is a string. Oh, it's true that these can actually have arrays. I should have thought about component objects. They actually can take arrays. But anyway, it's going to be a string, and selected type is going to be the output of the repeater, and pill clicked is going to set that component object type. Otherwise, we're going to take the item from the array that's default, and we're going to set the default type to that. So when you load the page, it sets the default type, and then if you click one, it changes from one to the other. So we're going to filter that array. We're going to say that the filter is going to be called, it has to be called the name of the field. So the field is called default. So we're going to filter for default is Boolean is true. So pull that into there. Items, default filter. So it's filtered out the one where default equals true from the array that we put in there. And so that one is going to be objects first item ID. So we take the first item from that filter, which is the only item in theory, goes to the object, and then the object we map the title, no, the type, yep, recent, and then we put that type goes into component object. So the component object, you know, it's kind of like it lazily gets the recent type on page load, and then if I click something else, it's going to get that type instead. Right, now into the repeater. We have said that we click it, and then the component output is that. Now we want to get the component object data, bring it down into the repeater so that we know at the top level what is actually the currently selected one. And if I'm currently selected, then make me in the state, make me the selected state, right? So selected type is recent. So we've pulled that from outside the repeater into the repeater. So we want to use an expression node and say selected type equals this type. Sorry, that's bad. Is it? You have to do it like that, right? We'll see. So this type is this type, and selected type selected type. You have to set that property every time you put the parent component object or component object somewhere. And I can see it here anyway, so I know what I need to type. selected type is selected type, and it is, if it's true, then it's selected. This one true, it's selected. So this will lazily check every time there's a data change, it will check. And on false, it's unselected. Let's reload. Ta-da! Click, can I click? I can't click. Ta-da! Oh, really can't click it. Why can't I click it? I'm saying ta-da, but actually it's unclickable. Oh, there. Well, yeah, the group is a bit weird. But anyway, it works. Cool. Yes, very nice, very nice. So it's changing all the time. The parent component type is now upcoming. It checks, okay, change the style, put the text color in, and then it will get an underline in there, but I don't know exactly how we'll do it. Oh, I do know how we're going to do it. I do. We're going to make the group content width and content height, and then we're going to give it an underline. And the underline is only going to appear, yeah, the underline is going to be there, but it's going to be invisible, and it's only going to appear colored if we, yes, solid. It's about 4 width, I'd say. And it's going to be that funky brown color. And, oh no, it's orange. Oh, it's Nuremberg orange. Nice. And then the text is going to be text width, text height, group text, group content width, content height. Does it have a minimum width? What's going on here? Oh, because it's in a repeater, I guess. How can we fix that? It's because of the minimum column width. My bad. My bad. 50. There we go. No. 100. 50. Oh no, I've messed it up now. Okay, we're gonna have to have a think about that one. Let's make it 100, and then I'll think about how that would work. If anyone has any suggestions, feel free. Funny that, yeah, okay, doesn't matter. Okay, and then we're gonna want that when it is unselected, the border color is going to be selected, is going to be color, selected is going to be orange, unselected is going to be transparent. Haha. So border color, bottom. Hey, fun. Yeah, now we're really sucking diesel, as we say. Yeah, I'll figure out that. I think it's like I'm clicking the group, but sometimes I'm clicking the text, which is blocking the click event on the group. Figure that